All right, Hafide guys, and welcome to another episode of the One Micronesia Podcast. And like I said, in these set of podcasts, we're going to be featuring a lot of individuals, organizations, programs that with ties to the FAS community that are doing positive things in the community and promoting the spirit of One Micronesia. And one of those awesome organizations is the Humanities Guahan organization. And I have with me not one, not two, but three of the awesome folks over there at Humanities Guahan. So I'm just going to let them jump in and introduce themselves. I don't know what order we figured out, but we'll just go with the flow. So go ahead, ladies. Thank you. Welcome to the podcast.
Okay, so yes, thanks so much for having us. Half a day and good morning, everyone. So we wanted all three of us because we wanted to visually demonstrate our diversity and the way in which we as an organization are very inclusive, not only in terms of what we do programmatically, but also what we do as an organization. So just to start with that, but I'm Kimberly Keeling, and I'm the Executive Director of Humanities Guahan, and have been for the past 15 years.
Okay.
And I'm Bernice Santiago. I'm a Program Officer with Humanities Guahan.
And I'm Nadine Sangani. I'm also a Program Officer over at Humanities Guahan.
Okay. All right, ladies, again, welcome to the show. And off the bat, we talk about diversity, and it's literally it's what we're showing them, and it's here on the podcast. So let's go ahead and talk about the many programs that you guys at the Humanities Guahan have and have offered for so many years.
Okay, I'm just going to start off just by talking real briefly, and then I'm going to turn it over to Nadine and Bernice because they're the program people at our organization. Just to say that, you know, we're a nonprofit and we focus on the humanities, and people get very confused or intimidated by that concept. What are the humanities? So really what the humanities does, the humanities are disciplines that really explore the human experience, right? And so that is all about, it embodies diversity. And you can do that through the lens of history, through sociology, through ethics, language, literature, even interdisciplinary fields like women and gender studies or Pacific Island studies. So we're a public, nonprofit organization. So we bridge the gap between like humanities disciplines in academia and the public. So we can best explore and understand our culture, heritage, and traditions here in Guahan, but also in the region of Micronesia and the larger Pacific. So we basically celebrate diversity. It's actually included in our mission statement. And for the past 15 years, we've really focused on very timely and important issues in our community, most of which have focused on Micronesia and the migration of islanders from other regions in Micronesia, other islands and nations, but also other timely issues in our community that affect all of us, like the military buildup, climate change and environmental sustainability, race and ethnicity. So we've done a lot of different projects and programs that focus on these important issues. So I'm going to turn it over to these two other lovely ladies.
One of the programs that we had that we are very proud of and that we hope to run again was a summer camp and a community action plan meetings for middle school students, public school students in Guam. And we brought together kids who came from different backgrounds from all over Micronesia. And we wanted them to learn about each other and to learn more about themselves and their histories and the geographies of their islands, and just to immerse themselves in the beauty of this place and this region. So we had a 3-week summer camp, and we brought kids all over the island, not just to look and to learn, but also to think about what they want for our collective future. So what we loved about this program was its diversity, was kids who might not normally come together, working really closely together and getting to know each other, and building really beautiful friendships. And it was so wonderful to see what comes out of kids just kind of hanging out together and just learning about each other's families and learning about each other's hobbies and what they care about when they see parts of Guam that are really beautiful, but parts of Guam that also have some problems that that we can all come together to solve.
And I'm just going to end on a really quick note. I mean, diversity, I mean, that's one thing that's incredibly great about Guam is its diversity, right? I mean, it really enriches our community in so many ways. It doesn't mean it's always perfect or it's always as inclusive as we want it to be. But, you know, that's why we, at our organization, is we celebrate diversity, and it really enriches our community. And we try to, as Nadine and Bernice both pointed out, through our programming is to engage diverse communities, right? And kind of work through or beyond, you know, issues that may be problematic or contentious, right? And we provide that kind of safe space to do that. So we're really proud of the programs that we have done that really embrace diversity as well as inclusion.
Wow. So I'm going to take it back to when you started until today. Have you seen what were some of the challenges that you guys faced in regards to inclusion?
Well, I think as an organization, we were very much focused on previously on looking at our relationship to the U.S., right? Because Guam is a territory of the U.S., so there was a lot of effort, which, you know, is appropriate, focused on you know, our relationship with America and what that embodies, right? But what I tried to do since I've come on is really kind of refocus both programmatically and organizationally on Guam's place in not only Micronesia, which is extremely important, but also the larger Pacific, right? And what position do we have, right, as an island community, as a Pacific Islands community within the rest of the region? So that's why many of our programs we focused on we always privilege Chamorro culture and history because we are, you know, Guam is the homeland for the indigenous people, right? So we have the utmost respect, and many of our programs focus on Chamorro history and culture. But also we want to take it out from there and, you know, and embrace the diversity of our community, right? And so we've tried to do that, like I said, through focusing on important issues and topics that are regionally relevant, and all, you know, and also locally relevant, obviously. So
That's awesome. And then I'm going to ask Nadine. Kimberly talked about how it all started, what programs they had, but then kind of branched out to reach out to our FAS community here in Guam. Now, Nadine, what were some challenges that you faced when doing these programs with our people? What were some of the challenges that you saw?
I can speak to my experience when I first joined Humanities Guahan. I started as a volunteer in 2009, really, and I think even my involvement there was an indication that there's still other FAS communities to learn about Humanities Guahan or to participate, or at least my community where I come from. And so I remember being so excited when they had this project called the Micronesian Questions, Issues of Identity, Migration, and Belonging on Guam. And it's something I thought was so interesting to be a part of and to learn even for myself, right? And so fast forward 10 years later, 11 years later, at least to me, I see a tremendous increase in engagement and participation from my communities that I don't think would have normally participated if not for my involvement or direct relationship with other people. And So I think the challenge at the time when I first started was, being more aware of who Humanities Guahan was, or who they are, and what programs they offer. But I think it was a whole another world for me to get into, and I think I can definitely see the way that Kim mentioned, how they've kind of refocused or reshifted, because that meant that I was able to find a place, or a place really in the programmatically to incorporate or to invite other community members that often are oftentimes the marginalized or underserved communities, not just to receive certain projects or programs that Humanities Guahan would have offered, but actually be part of the at a larger at a more larger scale, right? Being part of the planning and being part of presenting as opposed to just participating. And I think that makes a big difference in being in being part of a project or being part of a solution. So I feel like that was a challenge that I can refer to, and I can see the different ways that it's really grown under Kim's leadership, and I think I can really just speak to that personally and professionally.
Amazing. Like I said, thank you guys. Humanities Guahan been around for so many years and doing such awesome programs. Thank you guys so much. And what my next question would be, what are some events you guys have planned? I know with what we're facing right now, everything as like we're doing right now is everything is done virtually. What are some of the your upcoming events?
So I'm just going to mention real quick before Bernice and Nadine get into the picture again. So right now we're doing, I think our staff has done an excellent job with switching from in-person programming to virtual programming, all in the midst of like multiple lockdowns and returning to work, then not being able to return to work. So right now we are doing a program called Art Plus Ideas, which really brings together the kind of creativity of actually art making with really important issues and concerns and interpretation of issues, right? So we're bringing together art and humanities together, right? The actual making and the ideas behind it. And we've been doing workshops. So we just completed our third workshop, two of which were focused on virtual storytelling with Brian Munya. And we each of the workshops had two parts, and then we also did a session on writing called Second Draft with Terry Paris, who teaches at the University of Guam and is also with Tutugi Mona, the nonprofit. And so this isn't a program that Nadine and Bernice do. It's one that Nicole Duenas and Leslie Reynolds, who are also on our staff, do. But they have just done pardon? They should be here too.
We're missing them.
We're missing them. There could be
people.
5 of us. And they've just done a fantastic job, and it's been so well received, all the workshops by the community. And once again, bringing people together that would normally not come together for any reason, and giving them the space to engage in storytelling through film, through writing, and engaging with each other. It's just been a really successful program. Yeah. So, and actually it was a program that Bernice developed. And so we're just very excited about that.
And Nicole and Leslie have done a fantastic job.
Yes, they've
been wonderful. Yeah. We have grant programs that we're running right now for other nonprofits or individual traditional teachers or humanities scholars to get the funds to run programs like these, or their own humanities programs themselves. And the deadlines are coming up for those. We have the CARES Act Emergency Relief Grant Program, and the deadline is October 1. And these are programs for, these are grant funds for nonprofits and individuals to explore history, explore culture, explore identity, explore literature. And we want people to apply. So we hope that if you need any help, let me know. It's my phone number is 472-4462, and it's ringing through to my cell phone because we're working from home. But I'll turn it over to Nay, who's running fantastic programs.
Gosh, the two programs that I manage are like one that I mentioned was the community conversation. So we've shifted to an online platform, and it was kind of tricky because, well, besides we're all being new to having a series of sessions on Zoom or online. It was a matter of like, who's gonna I know I was worried, like, who's gonna join on and just like talk, because it was kind of, I was wondering like how I'm going to sell this program that really just thrived on the in-person interaction. So I was like, how do I get that kind of feeling still on virtually? But it was really, it's one of my favorite, well, I love all our projects, but it's one of my top favorites as well, because the first one I did with the first lockdown was with the intro to social work students at University of Guam. And so I had a set audience or a set participant to work with and kind of get my feet wet with like how to host these online conversation. And it was really great. Like the students were diverse in background and areas of interest. And so it was interesting to kind of get them to talk and share. And then even though they've been classmates for a while, because they did meet like for early on in the year, the spring, they still ended up like, oh, I didn't know that about you. Like, it's kind of like what we find so interesting to always see it played out. And so after that, we did a public invitation to a series, and we had surprisingly a great number of responses. And from that, we've had an 8-week series where my co-facilitator, Dr. Miguel Bavacqua, we would plan what kind of materials we would use for these conversations. And so these community conversation actually uses the civic reflection model, where we have these conversation kind of based around a text. The text kind of guides our conversation. We have a series of questions that accompany the text, and these series of questions just really gets the people to open up to kind of the text kind of serves as the common ground between everybody that can try to respond to or relate to. But as they're doing that, they're actually talking about things from their personal experience that others can kind of tap onto, and like, oh, that is interesting. I see it differently because this is how we've always done this, or, and so it just allows for people to really explore their own ways of thinking. And then as they share it, other people are curious, and then they ask questions, and so it's been great doing that. And the pieces that we use are also very focused in Micronesia or the Pacific, because it was important to showcase the wonderful work in print and writing and videos that we've been using videos that we produce as well from our Speaking to Water project. So it was important to showcase that we have wonderful materials to use as our own learning tools about each other or ourselves. Another program that I've been we've been doing really is the virtual family story hour, which is kind of like a hybrid of our Mother Read, Father Read family literacy program. Parents with children, or just people who just love reading. They'll go on these Zoom calls, and a trained Mother Read facilitator or a guest author will read a book, a children's book, and then those books will be we'll have like a Q&A activity, a session, and then we'll have like really simple, fun activities that families can do at home, right? Like one comes to mind, like a show and tell, like go grab something from your house that you want to, that's like your favorite something. And then that's a way that we can still have that engaging, fun experience for our participants. And so we want to, let people know that we have this set in place, and all they have to do really is just register for this free event. And what we'll do too, prior to the lockdown, is or make arrangements so that families who participate can get a copy of the book, a free copy of the book, because we're all about that. Not only are we teaching families to make books, make reading fun, we're providing them those books as tools and incentives for their families.
Wow. Like I said, thank you guys. Well, such awesome programs. And even in lockdown, you guys have found ways to kind of bring the program to the people via virtually. So it's such an awesome program. Thank you so much. So my last question would be the pretty much the closing question, which pretty much asks, what does One Micronesia mean to you? So we can either get the view of the whole as an organization or individually. That's up to you guys.
Okay, well, I think we've talked about kind of the whole notion of One Micronesia in terms as an organization and the ways in which we've switched our focus over the last 15 years. So, by placing Guam in the context of Micronesia, the larger region, and also the Pacific Islands. So it's celebrating and acknowledging Chamorro culture and history. And at the same time, it's placed within the larger region, the larger community of islands, right? And what those other islands and islanders contribute to making Guam this incredibly rich and diverse community. So I think we've really focused on this concept of One Micronesia, celebrating diversity, but also understanding that, as a region, we need to come together and work together, for the betterment of all of us.
Beautiful. I love it. So again, thank you guys so much, Bernice, Kimberly, Nadine. Thank you guys so much for the time, for, spending it here with me on the One Micronesia Podcast. Thank you guys so much. That concludes another episode of the One Micronesia Podcast. We got more coming, so please stay tuned. Keep following us here on the YouTube, the Facebook, wherever you got following KUAM News. Go ahead and do so. And that pretty much concludes another episode. My name is Victorious. Just want to say peace.